Hello and welcome to the Capitol Report. I'm your host, Senator Roger Kahn, representing Saginaw and Gratiot counties. Today's topic is mental illness and the stigma suffered by those who suffer from mental illness. Saginaw's own community mental health authority has produced an excellent documentary called 1 in 5. And that highlights the daily challenges faced by consumers of mental health services. I have with me a few guests today, and the first we'll speak to is Sandra Lindsay, who is the CEO of Saginaw Mental Health Authority. Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Got some questions for you, and let's get to them.
Okay.
Well, how would you define mental illness stigma?
Well, I think stigma, for those people that are watching the show, the word stigma has a negative connotation or pejorative connotation to it. So I think we would define it probably are the attitudes and the consequent behaviors that are directed at people with mental illness of a negative nature, prejudicial behaviors or attitudes that make it difficult for them to live real quality lives in the community.
And this is something that you see, that we see day to day?
Yeah, I think that when you talk to folks who have mental illness, diagnosable conditions of varying kinds, throughout their lifetime since their diagnosis, it's been so negative sometimes that they don't even want people to know that they have these disabilities. So it's an attitude and a reaction from other people that really creates obstacles to people accomplishing the things that they want to in their life. Everything from actually being brave enough to say something's wrong, or there's something wrong with my family member and I'm going to get treatment for it, to applying for a job or seeking housing or any other of the regular everyday life decisions that we make for many people.
Was this part of the background then for the 1 in 5 program?
Absolutely. I've been in Saginaw since June of 2000, and one of the things that I wanted to really take on was really being more public about mental health conditions and what that means to people, what it feels like to have those conditions, what it feels like to love and care for someone who has those kinds of disabilities. And one of the first ways to do that was really to speak to a public audience in small groups or larger audiences about the obstacles that stigma plays, and that sometimes people, maybe without meaning to, create these obstacles. So education had everything to do, in my mind, with how we would eradicate some of these stigmatizing behaviors and attitudes. So that really became part of our mission at CMH.
Well, what do you think? How's the feedback been on the program, both professionally and in the community, and on your efforts to deal with stigma
Actually,
issues?
it's been wonderful. We, as I said, we had this mission that we wanted to really address stigma kind of head on. We had a federal block grant opportunity from the Department of Community Health, and we used that $24,000, I think it was, to actually produce a 30-minute documentary. That was our vision. We felt as we moved in the community with groups to talk about stigma, usually I would go accompanied by consumers, but that wasn't always possible for a variety of reasons. And we really felt like a professionally produced documentary that would address the stigma associated with mental health concerns, that represented local stories in Saginaw, state perspectives in Michigan, and national feelings about this issue was really our goal, and I think we did accomplish it very well. The project was all of the costs related to the taping and the production and editing and duplication of the documentary, to its promotion to public broadcasting. Multiple copies of it were made and sent to cable stations throughout the state, libraries. Exactly. So really it was not just the production and the design of the documentary, but a whole project that surrounded its promotion, even a workbook that people could use kind of in concert with the production to groups to help people become educated about stigma.
So how well is it being used today? Have you?
Very well, I think. We've used it multiple times. I know that in the Saginaw Valley through the Delta College PBS station, it's had multiple airings. I know it's aired on the PBS station in the greater Lansing area. We see it on the Government Access Channel in Saginaw. And then we take it on the road. We take it to speaking engagements. For example, next week, Leadership Saginaw will feature Diversity Day, and a number of consumers from CMH and myself have been on the teaching faculty for Leadership Saginaw for many years. Last year was the first time we got to use the 15-minute version of 1 in 5 as a teaching tool. And you can imagine it spurred quite a bit of discussion and response, and a lot of the talent, the people with mental illness that were featured in the documentary were also part of the teaching faculty with me. And so it did wonderful things. I think it did wonderful things for the people that were a part of it, that created the documentary, but it's doing wonderful things for the other consumers in CMH and even other people not being served by CMH who may be getting their behavioral health care from primary health care or other kinds of providers. It's been great. We also sent copies across the country to advocacy groups and had wonderful letters, just wonderful complimentary letters that said we really wanted to try to tackle this in our hometown or in our county and what advice. So there's a lot of emailing back and forth between myself and other executives about the project.
That was one of the things I had reheard about 1 in 5 was from other folks who across the country had said what a quality product it was.
Oh, thank you. We're very proud of it, very proud. I think the nicest honor that we had, not that all of the others weren't fabulous, but the nicest honor we had was we were invited by the federal government to include 1 in 5 on the SAMHSA website. And for your audience member, SAMHSA is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration. So this is sort of the federal department that deals with mental health issues. And they said, you know, would you let us use 1 in 5 as an example of a local anti-stigma project, and would you tell us about how you did it, you know, how did the production occur, how did you include the talent, how did you do your script and production elements and the design of the product, and then how are you using it to help teach people, you know, in your community and in Michigan. And so we did that, and it took, you know, a number of months. We sort of sent our information off to Washington, and it took a number of months, but we actually heard late in the summer and went to visit the website. I think there's going to be some graphics at the end of the show that if you know, viewers want to go see that, they can. But that was a tremendous honor for us in a local community of Saginaw to have the federal government acknowledge our project.
Well, we've got a couple of the stars of 1 in 5 here today, and I thank you for being here to talk with me.
Always my pleasure.
We'll take a little break, and then we'll have some of them come here and
Great, you'll
talk
enjoy
to
them
us
very
too.
much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Attorney General Mike Cox.
And I'm Roger Kahn, your state senator. Different pharmacies can charge dramatically different prices for the same prescription drugs. We want to share with you a great way to save money.
That's right. It's the website, MichiganDrugPrices.com. You can compare pricing on the most widely used prescription drugs in your area.
As a doctor, I know how these savings can add up for families. So be a smart shopper and visit MichiganDrugPrices.com today. Welcome back to the Capitol Report, and I'm Senator Roger Kahn. For the second part of today's program, we've got Johnny Salter, a Saginaw native, someone who's seen the effects of stigma firsthand. Welcome, Johnny. Nice to have you here.
Thank you, Senator Kahn. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you, too. We also have with us Mark Leffler, customer service advocate and narrator of 1 in 5. Welcome to you as well, Mark.
Pleasure to be here.
Nice to have you. I've got some questions for both of you. Johnny, well, how long have you been working with Saginaw County Community Mental Health?
Well, I actually became a client in 1973. It was my first time working with them as a worker. It was in the mid-'80s. I became a program manager of a drop-in center, which was run in Saginaw. It lasted for about 8 years. And after that, I worked at Bayside Lodge, which is another agency that CMH had contract with. And most recently, I've been working at 2 years as a parking lot monitor for Saginaw County Community Mental Health.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed this job the best of all the jobs I had with them.
Is that giving the tickets part of it?
Oh, I don't give tickets. I give warnings.